I've had enough. Hi, my name is Alyssa Nichols, and here's my opinion that absolutely nobody asked for. This is a very different kind of video that I'm used to making. I just wanted to give my input on something, so let's see how this goes. And before we start, I'd like to heavily preface that this video is heavily influenced by Amanda. Her channel is amazing, you should definitely go check it out. I'll leave the link down below. So recently, a series called Selena the Series, as I'm sure you're aware of since you clicked on this video. Part 2 just came out recently and I watched it and I had thoughts. So first I'm going to be talking about the characters, what I thought about them, just who they are on a whole, both in the fictional world and the real world obviously, and then we're going to move on to production stuff. So first up we have Bill, Suzette's husband. He was there for like 2 seconds, was nice enough, didn't bother me like a lot of other characters, and yeah. So next we're going to be talking about Vanjie. Vanjie's a much better person than me because she dealt with all those kids all the time with AB constantly on tour. Like, much better person than me. She deserved better. Moving on, we have Dawn and Freddie, who were there for like 2 seconds. I was really disappointed by this because Dawn and Freddie were both Selena's backup dancers and vocalists. And watching a bunch of interviews in the past, you could see how great of a relationship that they had. They were very playful with Selena, and it was really disappointing that we didn't get to see them crack jokes with each other. That's something that definitely should have been highlighted. Next we have Jose Bahar. Jose Bahar? I don't think I'm saying that right. Jose Bahar. He was Selena's manager, and he kind of tried it sometimes. He annoyed me. He was alright. Yeah, the fake tears. I wasn't having it. Let's cut the cameras quickly. I didn't enjoy that at all. Next we have Pete, who was part of Los Bad Boys. He was funny, cracked some jokes or two, seemed, again, nice enough, didn't bother me. Again, we're just going through the list of people who were like there for just a couple seconds, didn't really bother me, was just there. Next we have Joe, also from Los Bad Boys. Overall super nice, I really liked his character, and I think he definitely outshined Selena in a lot of their performances, to be honest with you. That was even prefaced by the dad when they first saw Los Bad Boys performing. So that was a really big issue in my opinion, to have him outshine Selena. That's an issue. Next we have Ricky, who is the songwriter, and yeah, best character noises. You hear that? Best character noises. He was the songwriter for No Me Quede Más. Again, give it up. Give it up just for him giving us that. Come on now. He is the moment. He was an amazing songwriter, never once annoyed me, super nice. Also, really glad that he never gave me the energy of nice guys finish last, because it really could have gone in that direction. But that scene...
What a beautiful song you wrote, Ricky. Ni had it in you.
Y aunque viví enamorada y totalmente equivocada, no me importa, porque esto sí fue amor. Por mi parte, lo más lindo, el más grande amor. Y aunque siempre lo renuncies para...
The tear that rolled down on his face, probably my favorite scene in the entire show. Give it up for Ricky. Come on now. He is the moment. Then there's Yolanda. Yeah, choke. Yeah, choke. Hell is hot. Rot. Personally, I found that the actress played Yolanda a bit cheesy, but at the same time, that could also be writing's fault. I just found that it was a bit too on the nose about her just being like a weirdo stalker. Like, for example, the wedding scene. And I'm not putting any kind of focus on the real Yolanda because if I do that, I'm gonna get angry very quickly. But I don't really want to say much about this woman just because myself and millions of other do not care talking about her. So yeah, let's move on quickly. So next we have Marcella, the mom. It was really giving me, go girl, give us nothing thanks to the writers. I feel like she was given absolute zip. In part 1, she already had like a very minor role in the story, and in part 2, kind of forgot she existed for a hot second. She was really given nothing. We barely got any scenes with her. We hardly got many like important scenes with her, which I thought was really but she was sweet. I liked her. Didn't really annoy me. However, I would have preferred if she stood up for the kids whenever Abraham was doing something that was unjustified. We haven't even gotten there. Overall, I kind of just wish she had a bigger role both in the show and the kids' lives on a whole, because I feel like we've really learned nothing about Marcella, and it's like, that's the mom. We really couldn't learn anything about her, but we had all the time in the world to learn about other people. Moving on. Next we have A.B. Quintanilla. I have thoughts, obviously. I really can't believe the stress that he went through writing the songs. I'll give this to the show. I do appreciate the fact that they showed us some things that we really never knew about. A.B. writing basically all the songs being one of them, had no idea. The utter stress that he was put through. But overall, yeah, I don't like him. He just annoyed me, was passive aggressive, always made everything about himself. And my main issue is how much focus there was on AB, especially in part 1. While we saw like all of his issues and internal problems, the show swayed so much focus onto that instead of other people. And it really got just boring. And it's kind of like, why are you dragging this out? I mean, like, I don't want to sound mean. I don't care. I don't care about the certain problems he has, because it's gonna be solved in like 2 seconds. And regarding his real personal life, I'm not surprised that they didn't mention the whole child support situation. Yeah, that's real fun. Not surprised in the slightest. At all. They never would in a million years. Okay, anyways, next is Suzette. Yeah, she annoyed me. All the time. All the time. I know that's really mean. She annoyed me to the high heavens. Just like AB, I feel like she would always make the situation about herself. Or whenever Selena would approach her with any kind of problem, any kind of issue, all of a sudden, her issue is completely backed up in the corner, and suddenly it's about Suzette. It's like, how did we get here? And I didn't really enjoy, again, just like AV, how much focus was on her. A lot of times it felt as if like she was the main character, especially in part 1. It felt as if, she was almost like the standout character. And you know what? I really wonder why and how she felt like such a breakout character. I mean, oh, hold on, wait a second. Wait. Oh, that's why. And really and truly, even though so much of the focus was swayed onto her in part 1, I really feel like I didn't learn anything new about her. Overall, I just really didn't like her character, and good lord, the Texan accent.
What are you talking about? This is your life. Hey, come on! How can you be doing this again? Have money, a house, dogs. How much more do you want?
It needs to cease. Every time she opened her mouth, I had to cut down the laughter. Who were we fooling? No, really, who were we fooling? So, moving on, we finally have Abraham Quintanilla.
You are not going to destroy everything that I worked for.
Yeah, it's giving me very much Joe Jackson. So I already have very little respect for Abraham, so to have him be the main focus in part 1 is killing me. I found that the writers / families really wrote him out or painted him to be this hero that everyone should praise. Everyone. I was annoyed anytime he was on screen. anytime he was on screen. I felt like there were a lot of inconsistencies with this character overall based off of his real personality. And my main issues with Abraham are the obvious reasons. Exploiting Selena, constant disrespect for Chris, the estate agreement. I don't want to talk about him for too long because anytime this man was on screen, I was tired. I was tired anytime this man was on screen. And anytime they had a certain moment where they're like, oh, thanks, Dad. You're the best. Couldn't be here without you. Without me, we would be no... I sacrificed so much. I had enough. Although I definitely think that the actor Ricardo Chavira, one of the better actors of the show. I don't think the show has the best actors, to be honest with you, but I think he's definitely one of the better ones and did what he could with the writing that was given to him. So, pat on the back for that. Abraham can choke. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Choke. Next we have Christopher Gilbert Perez. This man, this is, we've reached the threshold. This man deserves absolutely better. This man deserves the entire world and was given nothing. So I feel like I can't even properly pick apart his character just because he was really given nothing. And I think definitely a huge reason for that is because Chris wasn't involved in the project at all. He wasn't given the opportunity at all. I feel like they seriously made him such an unimportant character because, listen, there were times where I genuinely forgot he existed. And I really feel like the actor had absolutely nothing to work with. Jesse Posey? Yeah, cute. Literally given nothing to work with. And you know, I seriously wish we got to see his guitar skills. I feel like that was immensely downplayed. I was super disappointed that we really couldn't see his talent and why he joined the band, why he was recruited. Christopher Perez is a great guitarist. It's a fact. Sorry. It's a fact. So my main issues with Chris, obviously in the show, I love me some Chris. I love Christopher Perez. Let's get that out of the way first. I'm talking about Chris in the show. So the writers absolutely screwed him over in every conceivable way. He had absolutely no chemistry with Selena. It wasn't hitting. The relationship wasn't hitting. Anytime we really saw Chris and Selena's relationship, it was always so doom and gloom and depressing. And it's like, I think it was quite different in real life. And what really disgusted me is that they made him into a pick-me. They made him jealous of Selena's success and made him lame. Like, come on now. I can't believe they made him jealous when in truth he was head over heels over the woman. And I find it really strange that, like, in one scene, for example, Selena's boutique opening. So I've done a lot of research regarding the actual real events, you know, instead of doing my homework for school. Selena's boutique grand opening, Chris's entire family was there. And Chris was the one who supported Selena, while in the show, they had Chris tell Selena it was a bad idea. And they butchered his character, and it makes me sick. And it really sucks that they really never showed the beauty of the relationship, why their relationship was so special, so sweet, and so just amazing on a whole. I feel like we were really robbed. There's a clip in the last episode regarding Chris and Selena's last night together in bed going to sleep, and the scene really just left a bad taste in my mouth because it's almost as if the writers / families alluded to the fact that they were blaming, this is disgusting by the way, that they were blaming Chris for the death of Selena.
She said she was attacked by 2 men.
Oh God. Is she okay?
I think so.
You don't think she's lying, do you?
No, I don't think that's something you lie about.
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna take her to the hospital in the morning. I'm gonna get my records, and that'll be that.
Do you want me to go with you?
No, it's okay.
Let's get some sleep. Oh.
But in Chris's book, To Selena with Love, he wrote specifically that he told Selena not to go. So to see what they did in the show just absolutely disgusted me to the highest degree. And overall, I just think that his and Selena's relationship was rushed because the relationship was introduced in episode 7. A mess. That's all I have to know. A mess. And of course, I have to mention, again, much better person than I am. A much better person than I am. The constant disrespect that he had to put up with from Abraham Quintanilla. Again, much better person than I am. I could go on. I could really go on and on and on about the disrespect that he received from that man. Regarding the whole bus incidents, where apparently it's both left out in both the film and the show that Abraham called Chris a cancer. These state agreements, and we will get there, it's a mess. The Star Hall of Fame situation, and finally regarding his book, I'll probably get more into that later. Regarding his book, To Selena with Love, that whole entire situation, again, spoiler, a mess, a mess. And you're probably sitting there wondering, if you don't have the knowledge already, why do you believe Chris's word? Why do you believe everything he says? Da, 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 da. Plain and simple, this man has the power to absolutely slander the Quintanillas in every single way possible. But because he has the love and respect he has for Selena, even in death, as well as having respect for her family, he doesn't. He doesn't slander them at all. He doesn't drag their name through the mud at all. Because he's just like... I could go on and on about Christopher Perez. Much better person than I am. Much better person than I am. So while he doesn't slander them at all, they do the opposite. Put some respect on his name. Period. I could go on and on about Christopher Perez, but we would be here for a hot minute, and we've already been here for too long, so let's wrap it up. So finally we have the one, the only Selena Quintanilla. So first off, I just need to get this out of the way. Child actress for Selena, adorable. Absolutely adorable. I thought she was perfect. I absolutely loved every time she was on screen. Perfect. Wish she was there a little more. Actually, tangent. I wish all the kids were there a little bit more. To see the early years just a bit more really would have been a bit better in my opinion. So moving on to the actual Selena, the character. Selena was unfairly one-dimensional, but of course that's not Selena's fault. We all know this. We all know this. This is thanks to, again, the writers. In part 1, she really just felt like a background character in a show that's titled after her, while her entire family and everybody else was shoved into the spotlight. But oh no, we got to see AB's problems with his issues, as well as Abraham's problems and issues being stretched out for way too long. Meanwhile, Selena's problems were solved in like 2 seconds. However, a positive that I can point out is watching her learn Spanish, which is great. More of that. Please, more of that would have been great. That part made her relatable and real and a fleshed out character, but we really only got X amount of scenes to see her do so, which is a shame because I love those scenes. And I'm definitely glad that the focus shifted on her immensely in part 2, which is what I think makes part 2 just a little bit better than part 1 in my opinion. And just like Chris's character, I feel like I can't even pick apart Selena's as well because she was really given nothing. It felt as if the writers wrote a caricature of Selena. They weren't trying to write an actual person. They were trying to write an idea of one. Regarding the actress Christian Serratos, I really hope I'm not butchering any of these names. Regarding Christian, first of all, body shaming needs to cease to exist. Quickly. I really didn't care that she didn't look like Sel when it was first announced that she was going to play her. In my opinion, what I thought mattered was if she captured her essence. I could absolutely care less if she looked exactly like Selena or didn't really look much like Selena in the first place. I was just glad that a Selena series was happening. And I defended her to the highest degree possible, and I ended as many body shaming comments as much as I possibly could. I would say the only time I ever really cared what she looked like was when the transition of Selena as a child to her as a teenager happened. It was a bit jarring to see the switch because it was really obvious that Christian wasn't 15, which is fine. She's a gorgeous young woman. She just didn't look 15 years old. It was a bit weird to see her crushing on one of the kids in the hallway while she was at school because while he looked like a teenager, she didn't look like a teenager. It was a bit weird. Now, I know Christian is probably a wonderful actress in all the other projects she's been a part of. However, I don't think this was the right project for her. Personally, I found that the way she played Selena was a bit ingenuine, kind of gave empty smiles, not really hitting the mannerisms as well as I thought she could. I also have to agree, I didn't think she was a strong dancer in the slightest. She didn't have the stage presence. Woo! The Texan accent. It kept disappearing and reappearing. Now again, I'm sure Christian is an amazing actress. I commend her for taking on such a demanding role that she knew people would definitely be talking about. But I just don't think this part was quite right for her. Next, we're gonna move on to the production. Some of my favorite parts to talk about. I love talking about everything that's behind the scenes and everything technical wise and, you know, bother my friends and family with stuff they don't know or care about. So first we're gonna talk about the wigs. I don't even know if I need to talk about them because they show for themselves. Sorry. So I think this was probably one of my biggest issues. Like, forget about the writing, forget about the horrible technique, forget about everything else. They all looked completely mediocre and seriously took me out of a scene. I tried to ignore them for as long as I possibly could, but so many seriously took me out of the moment. And there were times where I just had to laugh. It looks so laughably fake at some moments in time, and it's like, who looked at that? Because I want to know who looked at that wig and said, you know what? Yeah. Let's roll. Roll cameras. Huh? I want to talk. I just want to talk. Because who thought? Who thought this was up to par? Who thought that was up to standard? Anyways, I'm going to talk about the costumes, not for too long because I don't really have too many notes on it. I actually really did like the costumes. I saw that there was a lot of work put into it. I actually did enjoy seeing some of the, you know, iconic outfits that Selena wore during her time. And I thought the budget for the outfits were at a good rate, I would say. Yeah. So overall, I like the costumes. Next, the makeup. So little issue in my opinion. I didn't really find that they captured authentic 90s makeup, especially with the eyebrows. I find that with 90s eyebrows, it's super simple. Just make them as thin as you possibly can without destroying the actual actor's eyebrows. I don't really have much to say about the makeup. Didn't really find anything special about it. It was kind of just there on the actors' faces. But yeah. Now moving on to concert sequences. I really didn't enjoy them. I really wanted to. I just found them quite boring and not very lively. I found it very low energy. This goes hand in hand with both the cinematography of it all, as well as the choreography that was put into it. Anytime there was a concert sequence, the only thing I really looked forward to was hearing the music, hearing Selena's voice. I didn't look forward to watching Christian dance. I'm sorry. I didn't really look forward to any of her dancing. Didn't look forward to seeing the crowd's fake reactions. I just found it very low energy, a bit mediocre. I think probably the best concert sequence was probably the Astrodome performance, just because all the producers, everyone involved knew how important that performance was. It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't really anything too special in my opinion. I just thought it was probably the one that was best done. Let's move on to the budget. Yeah, the car scenes. I just want to talk. The car scenes were so painful to watch. I have no idea who looked at that in post-production and went, yeah, this is it. Because it was not it. I just find that the budget overall for the entire show was so cheap. Listen, it was giving me very much Lifetime movie vibes. You know what? I don't want to hear, oh, you know what, Alyssa? Maybe Netflix just didn't have the proper budget for the show. Maybe they just couldn't give them the amount that they really needed. I don't want to hear any of that when shows like Stranger Things, The Witcher, and Shadow and Bone literally exist. They're right there. They are right there. Those shows, their budget. Come on now. Come on. So I don't want to hear any excuses. The show should have had a huge budget for the person that this was about. An icon. Come on now. So next, regarding the production, this is really just a tangent about the cast. It's a little heartbreaking that the main cast was like 5 shades lighter than their actual counterparts. To watch the colorism run rampant in that entire show was really just upsetting. I don't know. It could just be me. You know what? No. I'm not just gonna say it was just me. We can insert pictures of their counterparts and just see exactly how light the actors are compared. Again, not the actor's fault. This is down to casting. And it's an issue. The colorism was running rampant and I did not enjoy it at all in the slightest. It was quite heartbreaking. Next is the family involvement. I don't think this was a good idea at all. I found that they were really trying to hide or paint different pictures than situations that actually happened. I find it a bit embarrassing. To me, in my opinion, I found that this was more of a series for them than for the fans. I don't feel like this was a love letter to Selena's fans. It was more of like a love letter to them. And they really painted out themselves to look a lot better than they actually were. Next is writing. This is probably my main issue with the show. Plot points were weak, kept dragging on boring plot points I did not care about. And I really didn't think that it gave Selena the proper voice that she deserved and had. I thought it was too cheesy, campy. I don't think it could pick which genre it wanted to go to. Like, for example, regarding anytime Yolanda was on screen, suddenly the tone shifted and like, yeah, of course the tone should shift because that's a serious and terrible situation regarding Yolanda on a whole. But for your genres to constantly change throughout, not even regarding Yolanda, just on a whole, I felt like it couldn't pick whether it wanted to be a comedy or a drama. However, to give a positive note, I did enjoy learning the inspiration for a lot of the songs. Like, I really did enjoy the story behind, Beady Beady Bum Bum. That was a cute scene. I'll give them that. Just a tangent to a certain point, but I cannot believe I was just sitting there watching the show and all of a sudden, Beyonce! Was I prepared for that? No. Did I know it was her when she walked on the screen? Yeah. That was a cute scene. Really cheesy, but I like cheese. Maybe not in my shows all the time, but I like cheese. But it was a cute scene. So the ending. I didn't really enjoy it all that much. So the only point in time where I really cried was, because of course you're gonna cry, it's Selena. The only point in time where I really cried was when A.B. was in the studio and he was listening to Dreaming of You. And I always cry when Dream of You comes up on the radio or if it just comes on in general. So of course, the tears were streaming down my face. That song makes me super emotional. I can never not cry during it. But personally, and maybe this is just because I don't have a heart, personally, I didn't really find the ending sad. I just felt a little empty sitting there looking at my blank screen while the credits rolled. I felt like the world's reaction to her death was a bit weak. I feel like they didn't really show like how momentous and huge her death was to the world. I feel like actual footage of her fans showing up, showing everyone like being super upset and everything like that would have been powerful. Definitely glad that they kept the murder a bit tasteful. I'm glad that they didn't actually show it, because if they showed it, we would be having a different conversation right now. And regarding like the very end where Suzette takes a picture of Selena, I think it would have been even better to show like the actual picture of Selena, because I know the exact picture that they were trying to go for. I'll insert the picture somewhere here and maybe do a comparison. But yeah, I didn't find the ending very strong. I felt a bit upset just sitting there staring at my computer, and I had to watch actual footage or concert sequences or interviews of the actual Selena in order to make myself feel better. I felt like that was one of my main issues with the ending. I was just missing footage of Selena. That's really what I needed as a viewer. So my final thoughts. So I feel like I need to say that I really wanted to like this show. I remember when this show was first announced, I was head over heels. I was jumping for joy. I was super excited. I was like, oh my god, people my age are finally gonna know about Selena. Kids at school are finally gonna be talking about her. I can finally talk to all of my friends about her. I'm so excited. And when it actually, came out, a couple weeks went by, it was still the same. I still had to keep explaining to a few of my friends who Selena was, that there's an actual show about her, and I was just disappointed. I kept defending it after the casting came out, after the trailers came out, but I remember watching the first 5 minutes with my sister and I was like, no. I was immediately turned off watching the first episode and was just hoping for it to get better. And it didn't. Being a Selena fan, you really want to support every single thing that's Selena related. So of course I kept watching the show, but I was just super disappointed with this. Really and truly, I think what killed this was the family involvement. You'd expect a show called Selena the Series have Selena in the spotlight as she properly deserves to, but really I think the series probably should have just been called The Quinceañeras. I don't think they handled juggling everybody's problems and situations equally. I found that a film / miniseries that handled this kind of situation well regarding like a huge family was the Jackson 5 An American Dream, I believe that's what it's called. Great film / series. It's like 2 long movies. It handled each and every single person, every single part of the family situations, I think, equally, where it didn't come off as like boring at any point in time. One of the best things I've ever watched. Overall, I think this was a mediocre show. I really wanted to like it. And at the end of the day, I really wish we could have seen Chris's series that he wanted to do. So finally, regarding Chris's book, To Selena with Love, there's a whole situation happening. So at the moment, Abraham is suing Chris for writing the book and wanting to make a series based off of the book. And he's suing him because apparently Chris has breached a part of the estate agreement. The estate agreement basically gives Abraham all the rights, everything Selena related. Basically, anything that's Selena related has to belong to him, nobody else. Nobody else. So he had everyone sign said agreement, and to me what's so sick about that is that he had Chris sign the agreement just a few months after Selena's death. So currently at the moment, Chris is trying to fight the suing situation because he claims that he signed it under duress, which is pretty understandable because he claims and probably was super depressed, wasn't in a good situation mentally after Selena's death, was just sitting in his bed for days, not doing well at all. So having to just sign that kind of just didn't seem right to me. I would definitely read his book instead. I'm probably gonna order myself one, maybe right after this video, to be honest with you, because I've only read excerpts. Oh, I can never say that word. I've only read excerpts of it so far, and what I've read so far is actually really beautiful. The book shows Chris and Selena's relationship, and it really gives a nice insight on who Selena was. So I definitely would have preferred to see that series instead of what we got. And if you didn't want to read the book, and if you don't want to read the book, which you definitely should, just watch actual footage or interviews instead to make yourself feel better instead of watching the series. Yeah, that's my video. Wow. If you made it to the end of this video, what are you still doing here? No, I'm joking. I really can't believe you sat here and let me blab for X amount of time. Who knows how long this is going on for? Alyssa editing, I'm very sorry. In advance. Sorry. So to the maybe 2 people who will see this, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoy, and let me know if you're into these kind of videos. I know that this was a very different kind of video that you might be used to, since my channel has mainly been, you know, covers. So this was obviously a huge shift to what I usually do. And I'm a bit shy at the moment, and yeah, obviously I'm talking to a camera at the moment, but still, this is still very new to me, but I've been wanting to do this for a while. So yeah, that's my video. Thank you for watching. Bye.